Hi, everyone. My name is Jaime Monreal, Human Resources Analyst with the Benefits Division. Thank you for joining us today for our Lunch and Learn session. During today's session, we are going to be going over Social Security benefits. So before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. All attendees will be muted throughout the presentation. But if you do have a question, you can submit them using the Q&A button located at the bottom of your screen. Questions will be answered at the end of the presentation, time permitting. So I'm just gonna be going through them, kind of sorting through them, and then I'll give them to our presenter to answer at the end. We ask that you do keep your questions general so that everybody can benefit. If you have questions that are confidential or specific to you, you can contact Social Security or the Benefits Division directly. The webinar is going to be recorded and it will be emailed to everybody along with a copy of the PowerPoint following the presentation. So at this time, I'm trying to delay a little bit so all the attendees can get in. Waiting for this participant number to settle. But out of respect for everybody's time, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our presenter, Jeffrey Rodriguez. Take it away, Jeffrey.
All right. Thank you, Jaime. I appreciate it. And hopefully, if everyone can hear me well and can see the presentation. Prior to us jumping in, what I am going to do, I'm going to read a quick disclaimer here. The material in this presentation has been prepared by Social Security Administration's Public Affairs Office and is intended for educational purposes only. For the participation in this presentation does not constitute an endorsement by SSA or its employees of organizations, and information as well as products not provided by Social Security. So thank you. Now let's jump into all the good stuff. So thank you for joining. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share with you all. It is important information, and I get that. And so what I'm going to do my best is to try to go through and share with you some of those things that I have seen in the 13 years that I've been with Social Security. Most of it has been doing this, providing presentations, advocacy, working on different types of boards, committees, providing Social Security information, being kind of that voice for Social Security out in the public. So through that, one of the things that I say is this: the best place for anyone to start whenever you're taking a look at Social Security, when you're trying to figure out, what should I do? What do I need to know? I'm going to suggest that you start at our website. When you start at our website and you get that information online, it really has been created so that the information is perfect for you all, meaning the information is right at the level that you need to know. And so you go here, you're going to be able to get information that's needed. You're going to get the current information, because you can go through today and listen today, but there are many things that are going to be changing as I go through. I'll try to make note and say, watch this, because in the future it will change. You're going to have to see what this number is or how this will affect. So because of that, I always say start here, get that information. What I find happens is that when individuals go to our website, go online and get information, they actually create a better question. So there's going to be things that you may not think about or realize. And as you go and you start reading through the information, you're going to create a better question. And you're probably already going to answer the question that you originally had, but you might come up with something that's a little more complex, a little more deeper that you need to know. And that's when you want to reach out to Social Security thereafter. So start at our website, socialsecurity.gov, ssa.gov. Just make sure when you go that it has kind of this look. It should have our emblem up at the top. If it has our logo, that seal there, that's how you're going to know that it's Social Security. We do a pretty good job of policing those locations that are not us. So that's kind of one of the ways you can do it. Now, if you click into retirement, it's going to take you to our retirement page. Now, on this page, as you see here, what we've done is a fantastic job. And right before the pandemic, and without knowing, we created a better product. And I was part of a team nationally. There was a few of us that were selected to create this page. So that's probably why I love this page so much. But it made just sense to us. When people are looking for information, they want to know one of three things. They're either prior to benefits and they're trying to learn about retirement, they're ready to apply, so they go right in that middle section as you see it there, or they've already what we call post-entitlement, they've already started receiving benefits, and what things do they need to know thereafter, and that's the manage. So as you go to our website, if you're going to our retirement page, you'll be able to scroll down, you're going to see these publications, you're going to see links to other information as you scroll down on this page. And so just wonderful information for everybody to receive when it comes to retirement. And again, you start here, you form better questions, things that you didn't realize that you should know, things that you didn't realize that you need to plan ahead for. You do that, and then you're going to be ready when you are in that middle section there to apply, when you're ready to retire, and you're now just, activating everything. You'll be all set. You'll feel comfortable. You'll feel comfortable because you'll know that you have gone through your due diligence and you looked at the information. You prepared, you were on a lunch and learn like this with me, and maybe you hit one more of these in the future, and just to make sure. It's not uncommon that someone will listen to what I got to say 2 or 3 times, because sometimes it can be a little complex, or it just may be a little confusing, or maybe we're just going too fast. I try to remind myself, I get all excited about it. I love what I do. I love, sharing Social Security information. So sometimes I get a little rapid in my cadence. So I got to slow down. All right, retirement information. Great page here. On top of that is setting up and going through the My Social Security account. If you have not set up a My Social Security account, I'm going to urge and plead and ask you, please set up your My Social Security account. Very easy to do. You go through, it's going to walk you through a couple ways to do it. It's now using ID.me or the Gov login type that you can use with different government websites or applications such as this. And so it's even a better product in that way. It's better control of what you're able to look at. When you sign up and you log in, you create it, what you're going to have is access to your own information. So you go in, you're going to have these different tabs with different information. You're going to be able to pull up and see, okay, what am I eligible to, at what points of time, at my different ages, what about my earnings record. And if you go through and you print up, or if you just pull up the statement, that's what you're seeing here on the right. What we did is we reconstructed to give it a better view, so that when you look at it, it's no longer 4 pages or a big booklet. It's a front and back, 8.5 by 11. And when you look at it, you see the gray shaded areas. When you go online and you pull it up online, that's what it's going to look like. And so you can go right to the retirement section, survivors, what do you need to know, important things you need to know about Social Security, your earnings record. Very easy to find and locate and to read through. If you print this out, it'll print in black and white. So you're not going to see the gray shaded areas, but having looked at it, you know which areas they are. They'll still have the headings. It just is, we don't know if everybody has color printers. So it automatic, there's no way for you to change it. Automatically converts right into a black and white. So that's to help people with toner and all of that type of thing. So the best way, looking at it online, going through, getting the information, you're going online, going through the links, the publications, you're reading, you're looking at your statement, which is your information. So we're taking all of your earning record, your Social Security record, and we're breaking it down for you, right? So you can take a look at those estimated benefits for you. Now, when we say estimated benefits, what we're saying is that if you continue working at the clip that you're doing, this at these different ages would be what you are going to be eligible to. And I'll kind of go into that, explain it a little bit better as we go through, because one of the questions that many have is, how do you qualify? How does an individual know that they're eligible? Well, to qualify for a retirement benefit with Social Security, you're going to need 40 credits. The 40 credits are issued to individuals at 4 credits max per year. And this year, currently 2022, for every $1,510 that you're earning and paying Social Security tax on, then you become eligible to a credit. So at the end of this year, for $6,040 that you would have paid in, then you would have become eligible to, once you hit those 40 credits, to a benefit. One of the quick and easy ways to know, have I hit my 40 credits? Do I qualify? Is if you pull up your My Social Security account and you look at it, and it says there that at your estimated full retirement age, whatever that age is, and it'll tell you, this is the benefit amount you're eligible to, 1,000 something, 2,000 something, whatever it states, then that's how you know. It's giving you a dollar amount. So because it gives you a dollar amount, you know that you have hit the 40 credits. And so we no longer have to talk about credits because you already qualify. There is no extra credit. There is no, I have 75, I have 80 credits. There is no such thing. I even kind of laugh to myself, and sometimes out loud, unfortunately, in front of people, when they tell me that, when we used to be able to be in person, because I'm going, how do you know? We stopped counting at 40. So why do you want to know how many credits you have overall in your life? All you have to hit is 40 to be eligible. Once you become eligible, the next question really that comes into play is going to be for the individual to figure out, what am I eligible to? So this is how we figure out your benefits. This is how we determine what you're going to be eligible to. So benefits are based upon all of those earnings. And this is why it's so important when you go into your record here that you look through your earnings record, pull up your earnings record on the tab in your My Social Security account, look at each year, make sure it's there. If there's any zeros in certain years, that should bring your attention, say, hey, I didn't work this year, or what happened? And if there's a blank when you should have worked, if there's a zero and you worked and paid in, we need to get that corrected before you start taking your benefits, because it could, as I go through in just a second here, I'm going to go through the formula, how we figure this out. If you didn't do that, it could create to where you're going to lose out some money. And whether that's $5, $10, $20 a month, that adds up over a course of, those years that in your retirement as you start receiving benefits. So we want you to receive the correct amount. So it's important that you look at your earnings record. And when you look at your earnings record, make sure you're looking at, there's 2 columns. For every year, there's 2 columns. There's the first column is Social Security. The second column is Medicare. So what you're looking at is the Social Security column. So once you've done that, you've looked at it, you have the 40 credits, you see a dollar amount there. We take all of those earnings and we are going to index them for inflation, or we're going to adjust them, right? Once we adjust them, we're going to select the highest 35 years, those indexed amounts that so that we can look at apples to apples. Because obviously something that you worked and paid into 1975, 1980 is not the same value as 2022 current. So we have to put some multipliers on those to bring it up to the same value. So we're looking apples to apples. So once we do that, we select the highest 35. Now that's not sequential or your past. It is the highest 35 years overall that you've paid into. Once we select those, we then add them all up and then we average out what that indexed monthly earnings amount is, or as we call it, an AMI for short in Social Security. So that average index monthly earnings amount, we then push that and we put it into this calculation. This calculation will then go through, and what it's going to do is it's going to take your average monthly earnings. Let's say that you had 6,500 over the course of those highest 35. We are going to push it through what we call bend points, B-E-N-D, bend points. The bend points or categories, whatever you want to call them, we take the first $1,024 and we give you 90%. Then the second bend point is the largest. We're going from that $1,024 through $6,172. We're going to give you 32%. Again, these are the numbers that we're using for 2022. And then anything above that 6,172, we're giving you 15%. So over the course of that time, or those dollar amounts, what we do is that first bracket, we're going way up. That's the anti-poverty portion of Social Security, which when we know back in the 1930s when it was created to help individual seniors that no longer can work and already retired from working, that they can receive a benefit to keep them from going into poverty. So we bring you right up to the poverty line with that 90%. Then the bulk of what you receive, as you see there, is 32% or a third. We used to reference this, and it's still sometimes used as a three-legged stool within retirement. So there's three legs that hold up and form a nice solid retirement. One of those legs is Social Security, or a third, 32%, the bulk of what you're going to receive. The other is your pension, and the final is your savings. Those three elements are going to create for you whatever level of that retirement you want. Now, obviously, Social Security, you can't really change how much Social Security you're going to get outside of the years that you work and the amount that you're paid and going into. But you can't tell your employer, well, I need to get paid higher so that Social Security, when we push that money in, we're counting as a higher amount. That's not going to work. So it's going to be dependent on what your salary is and the indexed amounts, the 35 years. If you don't have 35 years, then your highest amount for one of those years will be a zero. And so we'll use zeros now. Anytime we know anytime that you put a zero into an average, it's going to drop it. I mean, just ask any Padre fan. It's killing us, right? Last night, great game. But prior to that, every time you're losing and the Dodgers are going ahead, horrible for us. But I digress. Let me come back. So you don't want any zeros. So two things to avoid zeros. One, you got to look at your earnings record, make sure that everything is in there. And if you have any zeros where you did work, get it corrected. If you do have zeros because you didn't work 35 years and pay into Social Security system, then just know that that's going to drive it down a little bit. And so maybe then you're saying, well, instead of stopping work, maybe I do want to go, even though I could retire at 60, maybe I wait another 2 years, or you just know that it's going to affect it in that way. So we add all of that up, and that becomes what we call your primary insured amount, that $2,617 that would be calculated for this individual. They would have a primary insured amount, meaning at full retirement age, this is the benefit that you're eligible to. So we know that that individual is going to be eligible. So the question then comes, okay, what do I do with this? What strategies, options do I have? So let me walk you through a few and help you to understand what you can do with this. The first thing you need to be aware of is that 62 is the earliest age at which any individual can receive a Social Security benefit, right, for retirement. So 62, 6-2, write it down somewhere, make a mental note. If you're like me, maybe you forget a couple things, so write it down. 62 is earliest age. Great. But there's two things that are going to impact you here. So let me go through this. The first is already listed there. If you see it, it says it's the earliest age to retire, but it also says with permanent reduction of benefits. What are we reducing off of? Off of the primary insured amount. So whatever your primary insured amount, your full retirement age, once we come up with that calculation, that's the baseline. And if you take it prior to your full retirement age, then you're going to have permanent reduction. So what is that permanent reduction? Well, it's dependent upon the age of your full retirement age. If you can see here, full retirement age used to be 66, and we're currently moving towards 67. So individuals that are born 1955 through 59 are going to be 66 with a couple months or whatever months they are corresponding. Anybody born 1960 or later, then you can see that the full retirement age is age 67. So 66 going up to 67. Will that change in the future? I have no idea. We don't know. It's going to be dependent on whatever Congress laws they create for Social Security. Everything that we do, our policy, the Social Security is dependent on law, meaning Congress has to make it for us. So until they change it, this is what it currently is. Now, the reduction you can see here, if someone takes their benefit at 62, depending on what their full retirement age is, it can be, if you were at age 66, it would have been a 25% reduction. If you're age 67 and you take it at 62, it goes up to a 30% reduction, which makes sense because 62 is going to remain constant. That is the earliest age. But full retirement goes from 66 to 67. Therefore, the reduction is greater if you're taking it at 62 and your full retirement to 67. That's all that this chart is really letting you know. But let me give you a better number. The better number is this: 0.5% for each month that you take it prior to your full retirement age. So look at your year of birth, find that column there. The next column, go over and find your full retirement age. If you want to start your benefits prior to that time period, and I happen to have a brother, I don't even know, he may even be on this. I should have told him to jump on. He works for the county, and he's considering taking his retirement prior to. And so if he takes it earlier, prior to his full retirement age, which, you know, let's just say it's for him, it's 66, right? Or say for him, it was 67. This will throw out whatever, so we don't give too much away on him. But any of those months prior that he takes it, let's say he takes it at 62, then he would have that percentage. But say he only takes it 20 months early. He's going to take it at 64-ish or 65. Then he's going to have 0.5% for each month. So that means every year it'd be about a 6% reduction. So if he takes it 2 years early, then he's looking at 24 months, about 12% reduction. But remember, that reduction is what? Permanent. So you have to make sure that you understand and that you're willing to take a permanent reduction on this. That's only one of the things that I need to tell you. I still haven't talked about the other. The other is this: there is a work limit, meaning if you take your benefits prior to full retirement age, then there is a cap on what you can earn. And anything above that annual limit, and as you can see in 2022, currently right now, it's 19,560. If you work above that amount, anything excess above that amount is going to be decreased and your benefits will be reduced. The penalty could be such that, depending on how much over you are of that annual limit, that you're not going to be able to keep any of your benefits for that year. So you really want to make a check and say, okay, am I going to keep below the annual limit? And every year that annual limit changes. So for 2023, you're going to have to check once we come out with those numbers, usually sometime around December. You're going to have to take a look and say, okay, what's the limit for 2023? All right, they upped it up, let's say to 20,000. Okay, am I going to work part-time somewhere less than 20,000? Yes. I'm no longer working full-time. I'm not going to be receiving my 60, 70, 50,000, whatever you receive. And I'm going to be able to stay below whatever that annual limit is. No problem. You can start your benefits. You can start them early. You have the permanent reduction. You keep below the annual limit and you're fine. If you go above that, you're going to you're going to create where there's a penalty. And sometimes the penalty can be drastic. Let's say that you're going to keep working and you make a little bit more, you do 30,000, so you have 10,000 in excess, and we count one of every $2 prior to full retirement age. So 5,000 is excess, and we say, well, you're eligible usually to 2,000, but we have to withhold 3 months until you pay that excess, or you're not eligible to that excess, which is equivalent to 3 months of your benefits. So for 3 months out of the year, you don't receive it. Now that's going against why you would receive it, right? Let me go this way. If you're going to start early and have a reduction, a permanent reduction, and we're going to withhold benefits that you're not eligible because you're above the limit, then you are actually kind of losing out, and it wouldn't have made sense for you to start. It only really makes sense if you're going to be below that limit so that you can receive all of your benefits. And that's how you kind of get ahead of the game in regards to and why you would take it early. So the FRA, or full retirement age, right? And again, your full retirement age is dependent on that chart that we looked at. And I want you guys all to be real clear on what you're looking at. So you find your year of birth, then your full retirement age. That is the age at which you hit, or that you're eligible to your full benefit. Anything prior is going to be reduced at 0.5% for each month early, or you can see if you started at 62, what the full reduction would be there. And then on top of that, if you take it prior to full retirement age, you also are going to have to be below these limits. Now, I'm going to speak briefly about the year of full retirement age. Now, most won't get this, so don't feel bad, but I do want to speak about it, and then you can go back into our website and read about this. So here it goes. In the year that you hit your full retirement age, 66 and months or 67, whatever it is, the year that you hit your full retirement age, the annual limit, as you can see, goes way up. And what this is really saying is that between January and whatever month that you hit your full retirement age, that's what we're looking at for this annual limit. So it's not for the entire calendar year. Whereas under full retirement age, we're looking at a calendar year amount. If you start in the middle of the year, let's say that you're 62 and you're starting in June, well, then we're looking at a monthly, we divide that down by 12, and we look at a monthly amount from June through the rest of the year to see if you're eligible. But then the next year, the calendar year, when you're 63, or that year that you're going to be 63, we're looking for the entire calendar year to remain below the 19,560. So when you're in a full calendar year, you could even work seasonal and make 19,000 all in 1 month, and then not work the rest of the year, and you're still below, and it doesn't penalize you. But the year that you start receiving your benefits, then you're going to want a month, because you probably have already worked and received at your regular pay higher than 19,000. So that doesn't mean that you can't start in the middle of the year. It just means that when you start from that point going forward, we're going to look at a monthly amount, meaning the 19,560, or whatever that amount is for that year. We're going to divide it by 12 and say this is the monthly amount you need to be below when you start your benefits moving through the rest of the year. Now, coming back to the year of full retirement age, this is from January through the month prior when you hit full retirement age. So let's say that you're going to hit your full retirement age in July. So we're looking at January through June. In January through June, did you go over 51,960? If you did not, then you could start your benefits in that month of July. Or let's use this month of August. Let's say that you wanted to start your benefits. This is the year you're going to hit your full retirement age. And you look and you say, well, in these first 7 months, January through July, I didn't go over 51,960. Then you could start your benefits in August, right? Let's say that that's when you're going to hit your full retirement age in August, and then you're below the limit for all the other months, and then you could go ahead and start receiving your benefits, and there's no penalty as far as excess income. So that's how that works. Read on it, look at it, and hopefully it'll help when just kind of hearing it once and help you understand how that kind of works. But it's for individuals that maybe are going to continue working and just want to start receiving their benefits and maybe get a jump on things, maybe use Social Security to pay off certain things. Maybe it's to set up to have a special trip when they do retire, and maybe it's an expensive traveling trip, 30 days around the world or whatever it is. So you can do whatever you want with it, but that's how you would be able to start it early and still be able to work. Now, if you wait, let me state this. What income are we looking at, or what goes towards the earnings limits? It's gross wages, W-2, as well as net earnings from self-employment. So if you have your own business, whatever that 1099 you get, it's not that so much, it's the net earnings, whatever you report to IRS. So between W-2 and any self-employment that you have, net earnings can't go above these limits. Any other type of income, pensions, annuities, capital gains, all that does not count against this limit. It's only earnings. Now the next, so we have prior to or early retirement, it has that permanent reduction as well as earnings limits. Once you hit your full retirement age, the month that you attain, what we call attain full retirement age, you are eligible to receive your full benefit, 100% of your benefit. And there is no income limit from that point forward. Now, if you started early, you know that you always have that reduction. So you'd have a reduction of your benefit. But the month you hit your full retirement age, no more income limit. Income limit is shut off. That's why we say in here, from January to the month prior when you attain full retirement age, this is the annual limit, because the month you hit your full retirement age, that no longer counts against the earning limit, and there is no earning limit for you. So let's say you're going to continue working. You love your job. Maybe you're like me, and you know they're basically going to have to roll me out on a stretcher because I love what I'm doing. So maybe I'll work till about age 80 or 90. And if that's the case, then I start my benefits at full retirement age. And even though I'm working, no matter what my income is, doesn't matter, I'm getting 100% of my Social Security benefit from that point moving forward. So that's how this section would work. And then the other is if you delayed taking your benefits to age 70, then you could get what's called delayed retirement credit, or DRCs as we call them. The DRCs are 8% for every 12 months or every year that you delay taking it between your full retirement age and age 70. 70, when you turn 70 that month, there is no more increase thereafter. That's the point where no matter what, you want to start your Social Security benefit. So let's say you go from 66 to 70, 4 years, for 12-month segments, right? 4 times 8, 32% increase. So let's say you had that $2,000, now you got 32% increase, an additional $640. That is tremendous, a great investment in yourself if you're able to do this. If you don't need your Social Security right away and you want it to increase in value in a time period where often you don't increase income, this is one way you can do that. Age 67 to 70 would be 3 years, so 3 times 8, 24% increase. Again, a good return on that investment of delaying taking your benefits. But it's really up to you to determine, do you need it? Is it something that you have to take? Should you jump right in? Those are all questions you're going to have to answer. So let me give you a quick review. We looked at early reduced retirement, anything prior to full retirement age, and that would be from age 62 up through your full retirement age. It's 0.5% for each month prior that you take it to your full retirement age. As well, there's always this earnings limit. Right now, we know the 2022 limit, but you're going to have to take a look at 2023, 2024, and ongoing each year. As that changes, you're going to have to figure that out. Then the next section would be full retirement age. At full retirement age, then you're looking at whatever it is this year for those turning 66 in 4 months. That would be their full retirement age. 100% of your benefit, your full complete benefit, matures at that point, and there's no earnings limit. So the month that you hit your full retirement age, from that point forward, an individual could start there. And then you have delayed retirement credit. Again, the 8% for every year, or it goes month to month. So let's say you're only going to wait 4 months and you're going to start receiving your benefits in January, but you turned your full retirement age in August, so you have 4 months extra. We're going to give you credit for those 4 months, and it wouldn't be all or nothing for the year. It's month to month, such as reduction is month to month. The delayed retirement credit is also month to month. All right, I'm going to pause for a second because I just want to quickly look through some of the Q&A section. Make sure it wasn't something that I was not speaking well to or wasn't clear on. Okay, it looks like everything's pretty good up to this point. There's a few things here I'm going to be talking about that people put in, but I do want to state this to make it clear. So when we talk about the earnings limit, again, the amount that we withhold from individuals is dependent. So if you're under full retirement age, we are going to withhold one of every $2 of the excess. So again, let me use that example. Let's say you had $10,000 above that. So you made $29,560. It just, the job got better and you were able to take some extra hours and you didn't want to, not take that money. Okay, that's fine. So you had 10,000 in excess. We're going to count one of every two of those dollars. So we're counting half of it, 5,000. In counting the 5,000, we then look and say, how much is your monthly benefit amount? And we divide that excess amount that we're going to count, the 5,000, by your benefit amount. So let's say it's 2,000. That means there's 3 months that you are not entitled to because of your excess countable income. And then in the year that you hit your full retirement age, the excess is counted at one of every $3. So let's say that same scenario, you're in the year of your full retirement age, but you went over your limit of that 51,000 or whatever it was, and you didn't realize it and you went over. So you have 9,000 extra. We're going to count one of every 3. So we're going to count 3,000 as excess. And in that situation, you'd have 2 months using the 2,000 benefit per month, 2 months that were excess that you should have not received, that you're going to be penalized for. And we withhold those if we have sufficient time to figure this out. If not, then those become overpayments and you have to pay that portion back. That's why it's so important that you know exactly how much you're going to be working if you are. Once you start your benefits, especially if you're in a prior to full retirement age or in the year of your full retirement age, don't underestimate just to start your benefits, because we are going to check once we get the numbers from IRS at the end of that, or it comes around fall of that following year. We're going to go back and say, hey, you told us you were only going to be at below 19,560 and you were at 29,000. We now have to go back and we're going to penalize you and you have an overpayment, and we'll start withholding benefits from your benefits in order to pay that back. All right, hopefully that's understandable for everybody. I do want to talk a little bit about, and I know there was a couple questions, what about family benefits, or what else who else is eligible on here? So let me talk about spouse benefits. Spouse benefits is if you are married, your spouse is going to be eligible on your record. And there are 2 types of benefits that they're going to be potentially, and I'm going to use the word potentially, eligible to. One is a life claim, meaning while you're still alive, they're eligible to a certain amount. And then in a death claim, in a survivor claim, they're eligible to a different amount. So let's take the life claim first. Same age requirements, 62 and higher. You take 62 prior to full retirement age as a spouse benefit, then you're going to have reduction. What that spouse is eligible to is 50% of your PIA. So let's use an easy number and say you're eligible to $2,000 at your full retirement age, your PIA. Your spouse is going to be eligible to $1,000 on your record. We are then going to look and say, okay, does your spouse have their own record and how much is their PIA? If their PIA is greater, let's say they had $1,500, then there's nothing for them to take while you're alive. They have $500 above that amount. Doesn't matter even if they're taking it reduced and they say, well, I took it reduced and so I'm actually only getting $800. I took it at age 62. Well, we don't look at reduced amounts. We look at PIA to PIA, full retirement age amounts to full retirement age amounts. So your 2,000, which they'd be eligible to 1,000, and your spouses, and in this example, as I stated, 1,500, well, they're over, so they're not eligible. But that's in a life claim. Using that same scenario now in a death claim, you predecease your spouse. Your spouse is now eligible to 100%. So no longer 1,000, they're eligible to 2,000. So we look and you say, well, you were only eligible to 1,500 or whatever you were receiving on your benefit if you took it early. Now you're going to be eligible to the 2,000 on the survivor claim if you are full retirement age or greater. And if that is the case and you want to jump to that record and receive survivor benefits, that is fine. You leave your benefit behind and you take the $2,000 that you're eligible to. You can only have one, not both. And so I state this and want to be clear about this because this can greatly impact, and most people don't realize this because they make their budget and they do all their decision making based on what they're both going to receive from Social Security. So one is receiving 1,500, the other is receiving 2,000. So they got 3,500 in to the income between them, and they make all their arrangements for retirement based on that. But then one of them predeceases the other. And now you take away 1,500 in the scenario I'm saying, and the other is left with only 2,000. Now they're short in their budget $1,500. There needs to be something else that maybe you have done, life insurance or something else, savings, that's going to compensate for that difference. Or what happens is, and what we see, individuals then are short in their budget, and now they're having to look for alternate living situations. They don't have enough for any of their just life expenses. And so that's unfortunately what we see very often. So please make sure as you plan, you're looking at that and understanding that when one predeceases, the lower benefit is going to be removed and the higher benefit will remain paid to the survivor. So that's how that would work. Now, divorced spouses are also eligible as long as the marriage lasted 10 years and they have not remarried. If they are still unmarried, then just as what we looked at here for a spouse, same thing in a life claim and a survivor. There's a few other things. I don't want to get anybody kind of confused, so I'm going to leave it at that. Just know those basics. You can also read and get more information online on that, because I do want to leave some time for some of the questions. I'm going to briefly go through this. Now, you may have had some Medicare training, or there may be another seminar that talks about this, but I do want to touch on this briefly because there's a portion that does pertain to Social Security, but Medicare is its own agency. And so there's confusion because where do you go to get Medicare? You go to Social Security. And so then a lot of people think that Social Security and Medicare are one. We're not. We are a separate agency. So Medicare has their own website, good information, not nearly as good as our website, but they do have good information. I go to their website and look up information all the time. I already did that today twice for some things that I had to check on. So use our websites. I use both of our external website and Medicare's because it's easier for me to get that information and what I really need to without all the deep information on our own policy. Now, Medicare can be taken two ways. We don't go into this with Social Security. Social Security is just going to enroll you into Medicare. These options are up for you to understand and to apply them to your situation. Now, there is a group, every state receives funding from Medicare because Medicare doesn't have a public affairs or a spokesperson like me to give you a presentation. They leave it up to the state. And in the state, we call it Health Insurance Counseling and Advocacy Program. Every county has a different high cap. So there's one in Orange County, San Bernardino, Imperial, and here is San Diego. Elder Law Advocacy. If you need help understanding Medicare from an unbiased approach, meaning they're not going to tell you, take this one because we're going to get a better cut as a broker. No, no, no. This is just going to help you understand how and what your options are, what to do with Medicare, how it works, and your options. You can get a hold of them and they can help you through that. So please, please get a hold of them when it comes to anything that you need to know how to apply your Medicare choice into some type of program or benefit. Now, what I do need you to know is how you apply and when you should apply. The enrollment periods, there's three basic enrollments: initial, special, and general. Initial is around your 65th birthday. You have 3 months before and 3 months after. But when an individual chooses within that time frame, will depict and let us know when the coverage is actually going to start. So if you enroll for your Medicare at age 65, 3 months before you hit your age 65, it's the entire month you hit age 65, that's when Medicare starts. But if you hold off and you do it in the month you hit age 65, you can see there, you're gonna have a 1 month delay or if you wait 1, 2, or 3 months, subsequently, you're going to have either a 2 or 3 month delay. So you want to make sure if you're trying to get Medicare to start at the right time, normally it's going to be the first 3 months before age 65. Now, if you have continued to work and you have coverage through your employer, then you don't have to worry about Medicare at age 65. You can wait as long as you had coverage from age 65 through a current employer or through a spouse's current employer. You wait until you are going to terminate employment, and you have 8 months in order under special enrollment without any penalties to start up your benefits. And it's effective the month following from whenever you enroll. So if I enroll in August, it'll be effective September. We're going to double check, make sure that you have all this coverage between 65 and whatever period that is. The general enrollment is a very specific time. If you're no longer in an initial enrollment, you don't have a special enrollment, then you're going to fall under general, and you can only enroll between January and March, from January 1st to March 31st. And then there is a certain effective date when it starts. Now, there's a big change coming in 2023 for general enrollment, meaning when it would start up. So I'm just going to say that is the enrollment period. You're going to have to get that information. We'll be talking about that later as that law becomes into effect, and we have exactly how that's going to be applied to individuals. But you can go on to Medicare and read up on that if you'd like, but that is starting in 2023. All right, so those are your enrollment periods. We went over that. There is this thing called income-related monthly adjustment amount, that if you have earned a higher amount, and the way we look at this is 2 years previous. So for 2022, we're looking at your income from 2020, and this is your combined income that if you're married, that you would file with IRS. So we are looking at that for the Medicare. Don't get this mixed up with what we looked at in for your benefits on retirement. This is simply and only for Medicare. If you get a notice that you're going to have an income-related monthly adjustment amount, you're going to want to take a look, because perhaps if the current year you are not going to be above those amounts. Let's say in 2020 you made $200,000 together with your spouse, and the current year 2022, because you have terminated your employment in 2021, you don't expect to be above, and maybe you're only going to be at, let's say, at 150,000. Then you could apply for a waiver and request so that you don't pay the excess in the premium for Part B. Now, I know that's a lot, but I just need to kind of throw it out there so you're aware. There's an actual form in SSA 44, a life-changing event form, to say, hey, I want a waiver because I have this situation and my income is going to be less this current year. I don't want to use the amount that you have on file from 2022. That's kind of how it would work, but you're going to have to reread on that, look at our website, understand that, and then file for that. And each individual person that is affected needs to file, meaning you can't send one form in for two people. Even though we're looking at combined income, Medicare is done individually. So you would have to look at that and send in a form for each of you. Now, when you're ready to apply, 3 very easy ways that you can do that. You can go online, which is quick and easy, less than 15 minutes is what they say. I say just like Geico, but even better, because we're going to pay you less than 15 minutes. Or you can call our 1-800 number, 1-800-772-1213, and you can set up an appointment so that we can take your application over the phone, or you can create an appointment to come into our office. If you're going to come into the office, instead of walking in, especially for retirement, I would say call and make an appointment. That way, you know that you're going to be seen. We have very limited staff within our offices right now. We have certain protocols that we're following. If you come in, I would suggest that you have an appointment. Masks are going to be required in each office. Doesn't matter what your county is doing or what the state says. In our Social Security offices, you will be required to wear a mask, so expect that. Doesn't matter what your vaccination status is. Also, there's a visitor capacity within our lobbies or within the offices. So what we ask is that you come in by yourself. If you need help and you want someone to come in with you, that's fine. But please limit it to we can only allow one person, so that others can come into our lobby and be seen timely. So please just understand that. And that's why I say make an appointment, have a time where you know you're coming in and be able to be seen. And we appreciate your patience with that. All of that being said, thank you for allowing me to share this information. I know it's a lot to kind of digest. So besides listening and being part of this today, I would also say go online and check that out. Now we do have time for the Q&A, and I do want to go over those. So Jaime, if you'd like to help me out, you can. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say, or we'll go right into the Q&A.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I just wanted to reiterate a couple of things before we get to the questions. So for those of you interested in additional, more detailed Medicare information, there is another Lunch and Learn next Wednesday, just like this one, next Wednesday, 12 to 1, to go over Medicare information. Additionally, I wanted to reiterate, for those of you that showed up late, the PowerPoint and a recording of this presentation will be sent to all attendees, so keep an eye out for that. If you don't get it within the next week, send the benefits division an email and request it. Sometimes the emails, like for the people that call in, the emails don't get into the file, but I will send it to all attendees, so you have all of this lovely information at your fingertips. So with that, we did get a lot of questions. I'm going to try to pick out the more general ones. Let's start off with one of the more popular questions regarding people's pensions. Jeffrey, can you speak to how pensions will affect Social Security benefits?
Yeah, thank you, Jaime. It's a great question, because what people are kind of worried about is they hear this thing called windfall elimination provision. Windfall elimination provision is a penalty for individuals that have what we call at Social Security an uncovered pension, meaning they did not pay into Social Security as they paid into their pension. And those are usually like CalSTRS, there's some CalPERS individuals, but at San Diego, as far as I'm aware, and Jaime, you can verify for me, you are paying into both Social Security and your pension, which means that there is no penalty for you. So you're able to receive your pension and your Social Security benefit, and neither will affect each other. Now, in the past, if you had paid into and are going to be eligible to a pension where you did not pay into Social Security, let's say you maybe worked for as a teacher, or maybe in a city where you paid into only their pension system, CalPERS, and maybe not Social Security, and you're eligible for that pension, then that will affect you. And that's a whole different conversation about windfall elimination provision that you need to be aware of. But for you all, if this is the only place that you've paid into the pension, it's not going to affect you. Jaime, I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, that was a good summary. I always told people when I get this question to look at their pay stubs and just check to see if there is a Social Security deduction in addition to, I believe the pension, it's shown as retirement contribution. So if you have both of those, your Social Security benefits won't be affected by your county employment. But like Jeffrey said, in the past, if you have other pensions, that might be a separate issue. So next question. And we got this in a few different ways. So I'll read off a couple. We can retire but not apply to receive Social Security, correct? You have to retire from all pension plans at the same time. Can you retire, then postpone Social Security? Can you speak to that, Jeffrey?
Yeah, definitely. And another great question. So there are two different entities. Your pension system that you're paying into and what you're eligible and you meet those requirements is separate and apart from Social Security. Social Security, you're going to determine at what point you want to start, because you may, let's say you're eligible for retirement through the county there and you're only 60. Well, you can't start a Social Security benefit until 62. So we're two different entities. So whenever you want to start your Social Security benefit, that's up to you. Regardless of how you have maybe taken or your your pension already, and maybe even working part-time somewhere else, or maybe you return full-time somewhere else. And then you choose to start your Social Security benefit at full retirement age or later. So they don't have to start simultaneous. You can wait and delay even up to age 70, as we talked about, and earn some delayed retirement credit. So, but one of the things I do want to be clear, when you're ready for your Social Security benefit to start, you have to apply for it. It will never start automatically. Let me say that again. Your Social Security benefit will never start automatically. And I had a situation where two individuals, a couple, he was 75, she was 73, and had not started their benefits because they were unsure of how it worked. They had lost probably easily $250,000 between both of them. So you want to make sure that you understand that you have to apply and start your Social Security benefit. It will not start automatically.
Thank you, Jeffrey. That's a sad story. Next question. Let's take care of a quick one here. So if somebody is going to delay until 70 to get the maximum, do they have to be working until 70, or can they not work and collect it at 70?
Yeah, so remember, the key here is, have you paid in 35 years? If you've paid in 35 years, you have a full Social Security benefit that you're going to draw upon. And usually at that time, you're no longer really replacing any more years because of the multipliers. It's going to be very hard for you to outdo some of those other years. So you don't have to. So you can stop working. Let's say you stop working at 66 or 65, and you're going to delay taking your Social Security benefit to 70, no problem, whether you're working or not working. And I could almost say, if you're working, it's probably still going to be a very, very little impact, because we're also talking a replacement of 1 year, and you're only going to impact the 15%, and it's 1/35 of a very small portion that's impacting that 15%. And so what I usually see for individuals that continue to work in that time period is probably like a $5 difference, a $4 difference at most. And some, it doesn't even change. So the short answer is, you do not have to continue working. If you're not going to take Social Security, you can just wait to start it whenever. If you're going to delay it, you just wait until that point when you want it to start.
Thank you, Jeffrey. We got another question a couple of times. What is the maximum monthly Social Security benefit you can get?
Every year there is on our website. If you go to our website, you can look up on there. It has all these different facts and different figures that you can look up, and each year it'll give you, off the top of my head, I don't even remember what this year's is. It's probably right at about 3,300, 3,400. You know, but there is all that information that you can look up. I kind of personally think, well, kind of doesn't really matter. All that matters is what your benefit is. That's the one that you should be taking a look. But I think people like to kind of balance it out and say, well, you know, what's the highest paying benefit? How did I do? So I think it's right at 32 or 3,300 this year.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And then another question, this is going to be the last question. So for all the questions that went unanswered, jump on the website, give Social Security a call. Last question is, as far as the earnings limitations, do pensions, do 401(a) accounts, do those count towards the earnings limitations?
And good question, for just to clarify. So the only thing that is going to affect the income limit is your earned income. So W-2 or net earnings from self-employment. Pensions do not count. Annuities don't count. Capital gains. You could even win the lottery. Let's say that you were that one person that won over $1 billion. It still would not affect your Social Security. So hopefully that answers and takes away that concern.
Thank you, Jeffrey. So with that, I just want to thank everybody for attending. I want to thank Jeffrey for his time and the great information. I'm going to pass it off to him to give him the last word. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Jaime. Appreciate it. And once again, thank you, everybody. And the biggest thing is continue to invest into yourself as far as retirement. It is such a crucial time period for you to know what you're getting into. And so if you are really stuck and you're looking up information for those still around, Jaime, and they really need some extra help, um, you know, I even offer myself. You have a question that you are really not getting an answer for, um, have them get a hold of me, Jaime, and I'll help them out.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Are you saying I can give him your email?
Sure can.
Oh, wow.
Jeffrey.rodriguez@ssa.gov. That's what I'm here for.
Wow. So everybody, I'll include that in the email I'm going to send out again with a recording of the webinar, with the PowerPoint presentation, and with Jeffrey's email. Thank you all again for attending, and have a good day.